to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be going over my March read. Let's go ahead and get into the numbers. We read 9 books in the month of March. Out of the 9 books we read in March, we had 1 literary fiction, 2 mystery thrillers, 3 fantasies, and 3 romances. Overall, it was a pretty good month. Some were better than others. So we'll just go ahead and jump right into my thoughts. So the first book that we picked up in the month of March was Rouge by Mona Awad. This one I ended up giving 5 stars. I'm genuinely surprised how much I liked it. I feel like Mona Awad just writes like weird girl lit fic. Like I don't know how else to describe it. Like it literally is just like some of the weirdest stuff you've ever read. And so in this one, we're following our main character as she kind of deals with the passing of her mother and her mom's potential involvement in like a beauty skincare influencer cult. I don't know how else to really describe it. But basically it has like a culty kind of like trippy, spooky vibe. And then toward the end, we get a little bit of like a horror twist in it, which I'm not usually a big horror girly. I don't really do horror, like period, end of sentence. But the way that it was done in this book was less like for like jump scare factor and for like actual like I feel like if it hadn't have happened, it wouldn't have made the main character's actions kind of like driving the plot forward, if that makes sense. Like I feel like it was taking a direction where like our main character was kind of like complicit in what was happening. And like this kind of spooked her out of her days to be like, wait, what the heck? Like I need to like actually fix this. I need to actually do something. And so it kind of like got her butt into gear and got her moving. And I think that that's part of why I liked it. I also really enjoy it. Like I said, there's like a trippy aspect to it. So we're getting flashbacks of our like female main character and kind of seeing, how do I explain this without like spoiling things? Kind of explaining why she did what she did, but like she's at a point where she can understand like why she was raised the way that she was raised. I feel like it dealt really well with like heavier themes and making them feel less heavy and less kind of oppressive because it was portrayed in this like almost culty caricature where it was like you could make fun of it when it was a cult. So I overall really liked it. I had a really good time reading it. Like I said, 5 stars, and I did it on audio. So like I did my immersive reading with it, and I think that that really helped it kind of go along because I was really enjoying the narrator's voice. Getting into the second book that I read in the month of March, we read Riftborn. I don't want to say this is where my slump started, but I think that if I hadn't have read this, I would not have been as slumpy as I was towards the middle of the month. So Riftborn we gave 4 stars. So in this one we were following our main female character, Fia, and she is Riftborn, which is basically the like children and descendants of some people who lived on an island who were trying to fight for their independence from the mainland's government. Like they were being oppressed, they were being forced into work that they didn't want to do, their lands were being taken over, so they decided to like have a revolution and revolt, and they were killed for that. So their kids were taken off the island and brought into like regular mainland society and given the last name Riftborn, which like that's super messed up. And put in orphanages, put in groups homes, put in like all of these kind of like care facilities to be raised and reintegrated into society. And in this society, both people who are Riftborn and people who are from the mainland have like a gift. So your gift can really range. Our main female character, Fia, she has like basically like brain control powers. Like she doesn't know how to use them in the beginning, so she ends up like accidentally like frying people's brains. But like once she like starts to get a grasp on her powers, she realizes like she can make people do anything she wants them to do. But her best friend is really, really good at figuring out what clothes look good on people. So she's a personal stylist and a fashion designer. So like that's kind of like the range of gifts you can have. Like you can be really great at making omelets, or you can fry people's brains. Is kind of the duality of the gifts that we're working with. So Fia is working for an apothecary, kind of like making deliveries, helping make potions, all of these things. And she's making a delivery. She runs into these girls from the like orphanage where she was raised, and these girls start like making fun of her. They're not being nice to her. So in her rage, she like starts to accidentally fry their brains because she doesn't know how else to do anything. Like she doesn't, when she gets like a heightened emotion, like her first reaction is just to use her powers. Like she can't figure out how to like not use them. So she either has to like fully be like numb to everything, or she like accidentally trips her powers and like starts melting brains. So she accidentally starts melting these girls' brains, gets caught by a high ranking general in their military. And so she flees. She's like, oh, damn, like I'm screwed. Like, this is bad. This is not going to go well. Well, this guy swings by the apothecary and he's like, hey, I know you have cool powers. I'm going to teach you how to use them and you're going to join the army or else. And so she decides, like, okay, not going to do that. I'm going to run. I'm going to flee. And that just doesn't go well for her. So she decides, okay, like, I will go ahead and join your military, join your army. And that's kind of where the story like takes off. And I did not love it. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars, so it wasn't terrible. But there were so many things in it that I feel like were borrowed from other books. Like I feel like the reason why everyone's loving it right now, and because it is a little bit overrated in my opinion, is because it's exactly like so many other books we all really loved. We have a sidekick who is really good at fashion, who's really good at design, who makes clothes. Does that not sound like Adina from Powerless by Lauren Roberts? Like it's literally her, just in this other world where her gift is being really good at knowing what clothes look good on people. I feel like the FMC was probably one of our better characters, but I still didn't love her. Like I feel like her, like I said, she can't really like feel emotions without triggering her powers. And I think that that made her like a really subdued character. And it made her not really come into her own until toward the end when she could start controlling her powers better. And even then, like she wasn't that great at not like immediately just jumping to anger and just immediately like blaming people for things. I didn't love that. I think everyone sucked. Also, the only times people were in the book, like the only time people were on page, was when something was going to happen to them. So basically, like, oh, like stuff's like getting serious, stuff's getting crazy. Best friend shows up. Best friend's going to get got. And it's just like, bro, like, have characters around when they don't serve a purpose. Like every time anyone was on the page, it was because something was going to be happening. And I really hated that because I got really predictable by the end. Like she's a chunker. She's like 400 something pages. So by the time we were at the end, oh, 395. So almost 400 pages. By the time we got to the end, it was like, okay, next time someone's on page, they're going to die. Like it was kind of like pointless. I also was not a huge fan of the MMC. She's getting trained by this general who caught her. And like every time she describes something about him, I just be like, oh, he's yucky. He's like super yucky. He keeps around like the first girl he trained. So like Fia is not the only girl that he's recruited for his military and like privately trained. And so he keeps around this first girl that he's trained who's like super obsessed with him, like super in love with him. And then when Fia's like, yeah, like that girl's like in love with you, he's like, no, she's not. Like, no, you know. You literally know. You're hooking up with her like behind Fia's back. You know. So it's kind of like, I don't like it. He like thought that he was like making Fia jealous. And it's like, no, you're actually just being like super gross. Like I just don't like you. So we'll see how Duskbound goes because Duskbound ended up on our April TBR, which is the sequel. So we'll see how that goes. But Riftborn did not impress me. I can see where we're going. And I know Riftborn and Duskbound are getting trad published. So maybe when they're trad published, they'll be better and I'll like them more. But right now, it just felt like we were borrowing elements from other stories and putting them into a new book. Like it was feeling very like some characters came directly from Powerless, some characters came directly from Fourth Wing. The kind of plot of kids getting punished because of what their parents went through was feeling very Fourth Wing to me. So yeah, it was kind of like I feel like that's the only reason why it's popular right now is because it feels like all these other popular books. And that's not like necessarily like a terrible thing. Like it doesn't have to be so different to be good, but it just can't be amalgamation of everything that's popular right now. That's not how that works. So I think that's why I did not love it as much as I was hoping to. And the reason that I say that I think it put me in a slump is because the next book that I picked up was Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. I gave this one 4.75 stars, but it took me over a week to finish it, and it's literally less than 300 pages. She's a super skinny legend. She's super quick, super short, to the point. In this book, we're following Janelle and Rome. They are the maid of honor and best man, respectively, to Janelle's sister's wedding, where Janelle's sister is marrying Janelle's ex-boyfriend. And the funny thing is Janelle actually is glad that she didn't end up with her ex-boyfriend. They were never that serious. They were never that like crazy, like committed to each other. They only gone on a couple of dates and had only been exclusive for like a couple of months. And so she's like not that torn up. Like she's totally okay. But her sister is thoroughly convinced that Janelle is trying to steal her man and decides to make this getaway weekend before the wedding like living hell for Janelle and is sending Janelle on all these wild goose chases, making Janelle do all kinds of stuff as the maid of honor. And Rome, who has had a crush on Janelle the entire time, wanted to date her when she was dating his homie, he decides to step in and be like, hey, like if you want to do a little no strings attached relationship for the week while we're here for this wedding, we could do that. And Janelle takes him up on it. And so this kind of follows that. They are kind of sneaking around behind their friend group's back, but also like not really because their friends all want them to get together anyway and just are like too afraid to say anything about it. So it kind of works out for the best. I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, 4.75 stars. The only gripe that I really had with it, and the only thing that I wish was like a little bit different, is that it felt like their physical relationship was so much more evolved than their emotional relationship by the end. And I think that kind of makes sense given like the fact that they were in a no strings attached like physical relationship during the week of the wedding. But then it also felt like he was like throwing money at her to like help her start up her dream clinic because she is an OBGYN and wants to like make a women's clinic in their hometown when she gets back from this wedding, which like awesome, great, cool. Like you can help your girl like accomplish her dreams, but like he was just throwing money at her to like accomplish these dreams and it felt a little like oddly transactional of like, okay, she's been hooking up with you for a week and now you're giving her all this money. And then after that, the whole like boyfriend girlfriend conversation happened. And I'm like, if this would have happened in like a slightly different sequence of events, it could have been cute, but it felt awkward. You can bet that as soon as I was done with that book, I wanted to get this reading slump over with. So I picked up a mystery thriller, and Jessica Goodman's mystery thrillers always get me out of a slump. So with The Legacies, I gave this one a 4.5. I ended up liking it, but not a ton. So in this one, we're following three different point of views. We're following three different students who are up to become a member of the Legacies, which is basically this like super elite secret club that is extended to 6 students from every high school in like, I believe it's like Manhattan or New York. Yeah, New York City. So all of these prep schools, 6 students get selected from each school to join the Legacies Club. And they go through like all of this stuff within like a week to basically become like inducted into this club. So there's a like welcome lunch, there's a volunteer service hour, and everyone's broken up into groups to present at the end of the weekend. And they do a presentation based on which like subject deserves more scholarship money. So you can be in like arts, you can be in sciences, you can be in like libraries, English, like that kind of thing. So these students are given their assignments that they need to present on at the end of this week. And they like give their presentation. There's like a final ball. At the end of the presentation night, there's like the big award show thing. Everyone's dressed all nice. And the student who gives the winning presentation gets awarded like cash money. So usually because these kids come from a prep school, they just donate the money back to the Legacies Club. But this particular year, one of the students who's up for it from this particular school is like the scholarship kid. So she is one of the people who gets the scholarship that the Legacies start awarding out. So she decides that she's going to do this. She wants to get that money. She wants to help her family. And we're following her and then the 2 other girls who are nominated from her school. The other 3 who are nominated from her school are boys. So we're only following the 3 females from the school who are getting like selected for the Legacies Club. And we're kind of following like how their week is going, getting indoctrinated into this club. Bernie and Isabel are the like super privileged students who are getting nominated for Legacies Club, and Tori is the underprivileged scholarship kid. And so we get all of their points of view, how this week is going. Isabel has a bit of a substance abuse and drinking issue that like at 16, 17, like she should not have. But Birdie is like the popular girl. She's kind of known on campus as being the it girl. Her mom is missing and she's not sure like where her mom is. Her mom's supposed to be in charge of the Legacies Club, but she literally cannot get a hold of her mother. Like phone calls, texts, emails, like anything, nothing's coming through. So she doesn't know where to go. She doesn't know what to do. And Tori is the one who's wanting to win the cash prize at the end because she's already a scholarship kid and she has to kind of deal with the aftermath of her mother passing away in a wrongful death suit. And so her father is running out of money to keep their family business alive because he still hasn't been paid out for her wrongful death lawsuit. So that's kind of where we are. I did really enjoy that it was the three point of views, and I do really like the way that those point of views like met and matched up in certain scenes, but also like the ways that Isabel was covering her lies for her substance abuse, the way that Birdie was making excuses for her mom to not be around, the way that Tori was kind of like getting to see like a different side of these kids than what she was seeing at school. That was super interesting. The only thing that I did not love is the crime itself. I was really hoping that it was going to be kind of like this outside, like almost like a Pretty Little Liars, like A situation where it was like an outsider kind of like exposing their secrets or something like that. No, no one was exposing their secrets but them. Like they were the ones who were like saying what was going on wrong in their lives. And then like the person who passes away in the book, like they're unalived at the like award show gala night, that made no sense. Like the motive made no sense, and then the person that dies makes no sense. So it literally made no sense. Like everyone in the book definitely could have survived if they'd planned it a little bit better. But it also was giving like just like lots of family drama. And so I think that only getting those three girls' point of views, we should have gotten someone else's point of view or maybe like an adult's point of view to kind of make it make sense, since it was like a generational thing. Like it had to do with their parents a lot more than I was originally expecting. But like, what are these three teenage girls going to do about like whatever's going on with their parents? It made like absolutely no sense why they were almost being punished for what their parents were doing. It didn't make any sense. So yeah, was not a big fan of the end, but I did like everything else about it. Like I liked the girls themselves. I liked this kind of like peek into like upper society that was happening for Tori. I really liked how Birdie has to like confront like her parents as humans. Like she has idolized them as her parents for her whole life, but just to confront them as like, oh, they're regular everyday people as well. And she also gets to see what Tori goes through as like the scholarship kid at their school. And I did think that was super interesting, and it really humanized Birdie as well. So I liked that, but I just didn't like the end. So 4.5 stars. And after that, I was feeling a romance. So we picked up The Fake Out. This one's by Stephanie Archer, and I ended up giving this one 5 stars. So in this one, it is the sequel to Behind the Net. And that one is a like forced proximity, like boss assistant, like hockey romance where they knew each other in high school and then she becomes his assistant as they're adults. This is following the FMC of that book's sister, who swore off dating hockey players after dating a hockey player in high school. So she decides that she's going to fake date the teammate of the MMC in Behind the Net. She's going to fake date him because her ex is on the same team as him. So they're going to make him jealous, make him realize that she has moved on from him, and kind of get him like out of her hair. But that's also going to make the teammate look a little bit more responsible because he's the captain this season. And so he needs to look more responsible, look more put together, look more like established for his captain and like the rest of like the uppers that are deciding, you know, where his career goes, if they're going to keep him, if he's going to get traded, all of that stuff. So that's how they enter this fake dating relationship. And it ends up being super adorable. She's very much black cat energy, and he's very much a golden retriever. So it's giving a bit of a reverse Grumpy Sunshine. And she's also their physical therapist on the team. And so she like does like all of these like extra things to like not really get extra money, but she's also like doing all of this stuff on the side of being a physical therapist that our MMC did not realize. So he starts joining like her yoga classes and doing yoga with her, and it was super cute and super funny. I really enjoyed this one. I really liked their banter. I thought that they had really good banter going on because they used to not like each other and they used to go to high school together. So I think that that also adds like an extra element of like a past present kind of thing with them, where like they could like call back on like back when she used to tutor him in math class and stuff like that. So I thought that that was super fun and super cute. Like I said, I gave it a 5 stars. The next book that I ended up picking up in the month of March was Sky Shade. This one's by Alex Astor, and it is the third book in the Lightlark series, which I read the first two almost like back to back, like right after the sequel came out. So it's been about 2 years since I picked up the second book in this series, but I still really enjoyed this one. I still only gave it a 4.25 just because like the love triangle is getting a little bit old. There was a lot going on that like I don't remember being as big of a deal in the first two. So like a part of me is like, that's my bad. Like I probably could have reread the first two and then like understood where we were coming from. But I just felt like there were so many things that like weren't a big deal that now all of a sudden were a really big deal, and like that she had to like figure a lot of stuff out. And so basically in Lightlark, we're following Isla Crown, and she is the like leader of a group of people. And Lightlark kind of links all of these groups together. So there's Wildling, which is what Isla is. There is, what is it, like Skyling, Moonling, Starling, like all of these other like groups, and all of their leaders come together every 100 years. They come together every 100 years to do like these trials and like battle. And if one of them dies, and like one of them, I think it's if one of them dies and one of them wins, or if one of them dies, like all of these like secrets and these curses will be lifted, because each group has its own curse. So Isla's curse on her people is that they are like destined to like kill the person they love, and they eat hearts. But like their powers are that they're able to like grow plants and like heal and like have like this connection with nature. So every group has their own thing that they're like really great at, really in charge of, like what their magic is drawn to. And then they have like a curse that they have to deal with in order to like survive in their land. And so that's kind of where we start off in the first book. In this book, we're taking a completely different turn. Like I said, it's a love triangle. And the second book, I feel like delves like really deep into like where we're coming from both sides of that love triangle, like why she likes Oro and why she likes Grimm. This one was like all over the place. Like I could not figure out what was going on. I think that Alex wanted to like age up the series a little bit and have it grow more mature as the books go on, because I could see it, and it definitely was like reflected in like the amount of spice, what was happening with the characters. But it also kind of felt like she was replacing like some important conversations that need to happen between the characters with spice. It felt kind of like, okay, girl, we got to have a real important conversation with Grimm. Let's go like hook up with him in the woods. And it was like, girl, that was not what we were supposed to do. We were not supposed to do that. It was giving very much like our like goals and what we were trying to accomplish were not lining up with our actions. And that got a little frustrating after a while. And also in this one, we are fighting like a new villain. Like in the first one, the main obstacle, the main challenge is those challenges and the curses that each realm has to deal with. But in the second book, we are kind of following what is going on with like the other realms, and like trying to like figure out how to like move into this new normal, and what's going on with the Nightshade people, which is who Grimm is like in charge of, and what's going on with them compared to the Sunling people, which is who Aro's in charge of. And so we're trying to figure out what's going on with those two. With Skyshade, it's like a thing we've never been exposed to. It was something that was never even like a twinkle in anyone's eye. And they just seemed to come out of nowhere. Like it felt like it was like coming from like the deep lore of the world. And like Alex Astor has also done like a really good job in Lightlark of giving you just enough world building that what's going on in the present makes sense without giving you like a ton of history. And I think we needed a ton of history to make this make a lot of sense. So I was not as big of a fan of this one as the first two, but I do know that there are two novellas following Grimm and Oro to read before the fourth one in this series. So I think if I read those two novellas and then read the fourth book, I think it might all like balance itself out and it might work out. Like I see the direction we're going. I just don't think it was executed super well in this particular book. So yeah, we'll see how we like the next two novellas, see if that kind of puts us back on course. After Skyshade, I was still feeling fantasy, but not like hard fantasy. So I picked up Her Soul to Take. This one was priority TBR, just like Skyshade. But Skyshade, where I was wanting to finish a series I'd started, this one was one that had just been sitting on my shelves for forever. And I figured it was about time I picked it up. And I don't know if I'm still into this. I think it's been too long just sitting on my shelf that I'm not feeling it as much. I ended up giving it a 4.25 stars, so very much the same rating as Skyshade. But whereas I feel like Skyshade just like deviated from what the other two books in the trilogy had done, I felt like this one, I could not figure out what we were doing here. Like, there was no reference point. There's nothing to compare it to. And it just felt like, what are we doing here? Like, I just didn't know what was happening, honestly. So in this one, we are following our female main character, Ray. I already forgot her name. We're following our female main character, Ray, who is Okay, so this was also part of it that I was like, what's going on? On the back of the book, and every time I've talked to someone about this, they lead with that Ray is like a YouTuber, content creator. Like she pretends to be like a witch. She pretends to do like woo woo shit and like do ghost adventure, paranormal investigation shit. And that's how she like uncovers Leon, who's a demon, who is basically like under the control and under the power of this cult in this small town that Ray lives in. But like Ray and Leon meet before she summons him. I just couldn't figure it out. So basically, the gist of it is Leon is under the control of this cult in this town that happened because a bunch of miners got stuck in a mine and started praying to this like old world god. And this god was like, okay, I'll spare you guys now, but you have to give me 3 sacrifices. And so the guys who were saved in the mine form a cult, and their families keep up this cult. But Ray's dad leaves the town. He like decides he doesn't want to live there anymore. And Ray is still going to school. So Ray decides, hey, I'm going to finish up my degree. I'm going to keep going to college. I'm going to finish up my degree in my old town that I used to live in when I was a child and just live in this house that my parents have. And so she is a student. She like barely talks about her woo woo shit. It barely gets mentioned. She does do it like as a fun like side hobby and there's like a little like side hustle thing. To Ray, it's not that big of a deal. She doesn't really do it a ton. And so she is back in her hometown. She is like reconnecting with her childhood best friend, like getting in like the swing of school, meeting all these people in this town, which like she never met them before. And I'm like, if they were cult members because of their family being from this town, wouldn't she have gone to like elementary school with them? Like she left when she was in like first or second grade. So I couldn't figure that part out. And she gets her hands on a book that has Leon's like real true demon name written in it. And that's how she summons him. And that's how he like gets out of the control of the cult. But like he wants her soul in order to protect her, and she keeps saying no. And I'm like, okay, girl, well, if like I knew a cult was looking after me and they're trying to find me and they're trying to kill me, if my other option is a demon, yeah, I'll go with the demon. I don't want to be sacrificed to this weird cult's old god. Like that doesn't make any sense. And so like a ton of it. Like this book is super, super long. I'm pretty sure it's like over 400 pages. Yeah, 470. A ton of this book is literally just them like hooking up when they could be solving crime. But like they just choose not to. They just take like a quick little smash break before, you know, deciding to turn this cult over to the police, the authorities. Yeah, so I think that's where it lost me. And I also was very confused. So I know this is the first in a trilogy. And I know that the second one follows a demon that we are introduced to in this book and the girl that they tried to sacrifice before sacrificing who they sacrificed at the beginning of the book. Because that's kind of how Ray and Leon meet originally, is he's like posing as a guard to keep where they murdered a different student like away from everyone. Like no one's supposed to come to this area where a student was attacked on campus. So it's kind of like, okay, so like this demon and this other girl, like they're already together at the end of this book. So were their relationships happening like simultaneously at the same time? Did their relationship happen before? Because the way that it's kind of posed in this book is that Juniper, the girl, was like on the run, and this guy caught her before Ray came back to town. And that's like how they've been together this whole time. And then the third book is following Everly, who is a witch who was like under the cult's thumb as well, very similar situation to Leon. And she runs away in like the first like 5 chapters of this book. She's gone, she's done so with a different demon. And so it was just kind of like I could not figure out the timeline of this book in relation to the other 3. It's almost one of those things where like I get it if it's a prequel, but this one felt like it was at the end of everyone else's relationships. And the other 2 books should have come first. And then this one, which should have been the end. I mean, like, I guess I could understand if maybe we're going to do like a time jump and like explain how like things like get resolved after this book. But I also don't think the other 2 books are like second chance. of any kind. I don't think that's what's going on there. I'm still confusion on this one and where it fits in the series. I don't think I'm going to read the rest of the books in the series. I might, because I like Carly LaRue's writing. I like her writing style. I like how she describes things. She gives you enough detail to know what's happening without like doing too much exposition dumping. And I liked that. But I'm not convinced I'm intrigued by the story of it all. I don't think I care enough about what's happening to these characters to care about where their stories go. That sounds mean, but it's true. So after that, I was really in the mood for something lighthearted and super fun. So we picked up Cowboy Casual. This one's by Holly Renee, and I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. I really enjoy it. We're following our female main character, Blair, who has spent the last like 8 or so years under her dad's kind of thumb. He's a senator, and he paid for her to go to Duke. He paid for her to like get this great marketing degree, and now he has her working for him. And she is engaged to a lawyer who is the son of her like senator dad's like biggest supporter. So Blair is basically doing everything that her dad says. She finds out that this hi baby. She finds out that this fiance of hers has been cheating on her almost their whole relationship, and she decides she's going to go back to her hometown where her mom and her grandma raised her, where her grandma still runs like a little strawberry farm. So she decides that she's just going to go there, hang out, and see like what she can do like back home in her hometown. So it ends up being a kind of second chance romance with Colt, who was one of her childhood best friends that like they kind of were becoming more as she was like getting older, but he ended up telling her to leave and go be with her dad. So she kind of has this built up resentment on Colt because he's kind of the reason why almost everything that has happened to her for the past 8 years. So they are neighbors in her small hometown now that she's back living with her grandma, and he runs his family's ranch, and he's a single dad. So Blair is kind of helping him to take care of his daughter, as well as helping out around the ranch as she's kind of able to, and getting her grandma's jam business started up kind of online and becoming a little bit more popular than just like in their town. So the main reason why I gave this a 4.5 stars is the main ending felt really rushed. It felt like the conversation that they have towards the end, that like if they would have had it in the beginning, it wouldn't have been as bad. Like if like the first couple days that she was back in town, he like came up to her and was like, "Hey, we should talk about like why you left." It wouldn't have been as bad, but they save it for like 3 months later, and it should have been like a really big important conversation that like honestly was probably like third act breakup worthy because he'd just been sitting on it for so long. And then it wasn't a huge deal at all. Like she kind of slept on it and then decided like, "Oh, yeah, we're going to just like make it work. We're just going to like be together now." And it's like, "Oh, okay." And then the very ending was kind of rushed because like her dad comes to this small town and was like trying to convince her to move back and like take over her job as like working for him in like the senator's office. And she just says no. And then like we're done. So it's kind of like, oh, like those could have, like, I understand not wanting to have a third act breakup, but we also can't just have like no tension after there's a ton of tension in like the beginning and middle of the book. Because Blair does not want to get back together with Colt, but she really likes Colt, and the physical attraction's still there. So she decides that they're going to be casual, and Colt wants her to like marry him and settle down. And so like it just felt kind of like awkward that like there was all that tension in their relationship just for the thing that should have been a big fight to not be a fight at all. And then also for her dad coming back to town to not be a big deal at all. So it just felt like we were eliminating any kind of tension in the second half. It just felt very awkward and very rushed to me, which like we had 400 pages. We were working with quite a lot of book. We definitely could have done something to bring some tension, to do something, add a little spice. And we just said, nah, we're good. It's okay. So yeah, I think that that was the main thing that gave it a 4.5 star instead of a 5. So the last book that I got around to reading in the month of March was Hunting November. This one is the sequel to Killing November that I read in like 2024. So another sequel that came out like way forever ago that I'm just now catching up on, that I read forever ago. In the first book, we are following November, who is a 17-year-old girl from Pembroke, Connecticut, who has basically lived her whole life like a normal girl. Like she lives in this cute small town. She has her best friends. They want to go to college together. Like she's just a very normal girl. And then she wakes up one day. Her dad basically tells her, "Hey, pack a bag. I'm sending you to boarding school." She knows nothing about it. And so she gets to the school, and basically it's a like training academy for like what feels like secret agents. Like they have a poisons class, they have a deceptions class, they have like classes on lying, espionage, like all kinds of like spy behaviors. And so from there, November has to discover like why her dad even sent her here and what's going on with these students because they have like a super rigorous like eye for an eye punishment system. But then a student gets murdered. And November, being a new girl, like everyone thinks she has something to do with it. So in this book, we're following November as she leaves the school. She's not graduated yet. She just leaves because her dad is missing and they don't know where her dad is. So she goes on this mission with her little boyfriend. Her boyfriend's name is Ash. And so they leave the school and they decide to kind of like track down her dad and follow these clues that her dad has left her. So kind of a lot going on, honestly. I liked it. I didn't love it. I gave it 4.25 stars, like I said. I think that this one had more flashbacks than the first one, which makes a lot of sense. Because, like, obviously, she's like trying to figure out like why she's in this academy, what her dad has been lying to her about, what her parents have kept from her, like all of this stuff. So, like, it makes sense that there were flashbacks in that one. This one had even more flashbacks because she's trying to decipher clues he's actively left her. It's kind of a rescue mission as well because her and her boyfriend and then her friends kind of start joining her as the story goes. They are trying to rescue her dad from her grandpa because that's kind of like the big bad in all of this. And the main thing I did not love is it had a bit of a cliffhanger ending, which like not even really a cliffhanger. It just this is the last book in the series. It's literally just the duology. And so in the first one she's going to school, in this one she like finds her dad and they like decide to like be in charge of stuff together. We don't get anything after that. We kind of just get them being like, okay, things are fixed now, which like cool, great, but like they're not. You fix like the immediate problem of the guy who wanted to kill all of you guys. We didn't fix anything else. So that's where it felt like a little bit off, and then where I wish the ending was either a little bit more fleshed out and maybe gave us like a time jump for like an epilogue, like 5 to 10 years later, or if we just got a whole third book, I wouldn't have to worry about it. So that brings us to the books that we did not get to on our March TBR. I only had two that I didn't get to. The Love Wager is the first one, and I actually started this one earlier this afternoon, hoping to get that read before the official end of the month, but also don't know if I can finish in 3 days because today's Sunday, the 29th. So yeah, I only really have like today, tomorrow, and Tuesday to finish that book, and I don't think I will. Glow, which is the fourth book in the Plated Prisoner series, is my other final book that did not make it on to our read list. Pippa. Yeah, you go figure out what your sister's doing. Okay, we're just gonna ignore if my hair looks crazy and that my eyelashes need a fill. We're just gonna not talk about that. Okay, so we read, wait. Okay, I don't know why I just had to count to 9 18 times to make sure I knew how to count to 9. This is like bothering anyone else. It feels crazy. Okay, one was literary fiction, one was mystery thriller. We had three, what are words? Yes. Thank you, Jesus. That took 8 tries as well. I need caffeine. I think that's what we've come to the conclusion of is I haven't had enough caffeine today. Does that not sound exactly like Adina from Powerless by Lauren Roberts? I feel like I said Lauren weird. In this one, we're following Janelle and Rome. Yes. Haha, look at me remembering a name. And they are what is it? They are kind of like sneaking around behind their little friend group's back. But where was I going with story time? I gave this one a 4.25. No, 4.5. The like a winning. And usually because these kids are coming from a because these kids, fake, no, this one's fake dating. That one is, what is it? And she decides that she's going to fake date the, like, what is it? Not classmate. What the fuck are those called? Teammate. There's wildling, which is what Lila is. Lila. Oh, hi, Pippa. So we definitely could. Hi, Pippa. Hi, Mimi. I love my little Pippa. I love you. So in Killing November, we're following our main female character. Pippa's ears are just like in the shot. Who, okay, I don't trust you. I feel like you're doing something. And then Glow, which is the fourth book in the Plated Prisoner series. My brain had to load.